I think it would be both. I mean, ultimately, um, if we're and uh, you know, most, I don't know if it's most actually, but I should say a lot of cryptos, are open repositories that anyone in the community can then go and fork and develop. And, if the community then decides that that's good, they integrate it. And that could be on the main protocol, or that could be on libraries and all the other stuff that third-party dApp developers need, et cetera. And that's ultimately what we want, rather than keeping it, this sort of controlled, so many boundaries and restrictions and some secret group that approves or disapproves. That's one thing that when I started to look at how does a community get developers in, developers really just want to come in and they want to be able to code and add. And if it's value, it's accepted by the community. And it's not sort of this, well, we like you, but we don't like you. Or, you're developing stuff that's going to help certain dApps within the community because we want those dApps to succeed over other ones. I mean, now you're getting into what ultimately is corruption. It's, again, if you look at it as a city and you have, a centralized control over, we're going to give you a business license, but we're not going to give you a business license. We're going to support you with letting you not be held to regulations, but we're going to hold regulations to that business because that centralized control committee generally has equity or benefits financially from the ones they want to help and the ones they don't. And we see that even with cryptos. So, yeah.
Understood. Yep, fair enough. My only other final question is what kind of allocation is going to be reserved for the development of the secret handshake? I'm thinking 15% of the total supply, just to make sure we get the best secret handshake.
That's right, the best secret handshake. Well, cool. Just trying to think out loud. What about an explorer? Just trying to think about transparency. So when these payments are done, and a layman wants to query or kind of look at, let's say, an address list. That brings up another question, because then I was thinking, okay, well, generally, with the multi-sigs, you can go in and you can look at the history of transactions pretty easily. You can download it, etc. But that's with EVM. We don't have a multi-sig on a layer 1 without EVM. Is that correct? Saphir?
We don't have a multi-sig without.
Because if I remember correctly, there's no multi-sig on layer 1.
Yes, you're correct.
So that's
we had to wait for EVM to get the multi-sig integration.
Right. So that's something we have to look into.
We'd probably have to use a VSC proxy in the meantime until we had that running. So I know for a couple of the projects we ran that weren't on chain, we just did a Gnosis and had that separate.
Okay, so that's a pretty high priority question. Okay, I will shoot that to Garrett.
Point of information, or point of inquiry, JD. How did you handle multi-signatures for handing out Shimmer in the Tangle Community Treasury?
So we had EVM. Before we had EVM, basically Dom, and it became apparent, Dom held all the tokens for the IF. until they had EVM, and even after EVM, I don't know if he let that go, but had he get hit by a car, I don't know if there was necessarily a backup or not. I would assume that the key was somewhere, hopefully, but at one point before we had EVM, because we wanted to get going, and the community, I think, agreed for it, especially the Treasury team. Basically, he just sent me the tokens, and I had those tokens on in my own. Well, I made a wallet for the Treasury. It wasn't like my personal wallet, but I was that, and then I liquidated those on exchanges or OTC. And but once we had EVM, then of course we went multi-sig. But until then, it was just one. It was me. It was the lead.
Wow.
A designated person.
Right.
That But what Dom did, he didn't give all. Whatever it was. Let's say $1 million in Shimmer, 500,000 in Shimmer, whatever it was. It was in tranches in a sense. As needed. So yeah, this will be something that we kind of have to look at. Kind of come up with that. The technical lead can also, of course, support that in coming up with a safe process. And yeah, okay. Well, that's all I got for today. Does anyone else have any questions, thoughts, discussion points? Okay, thumbs up. Thank you. Yeah, good to have you back, Saphir. Appreciate that. And so you will work on the technical lead position, kind of right up for that position. I'll shoot Garrett his thoughts on managing the 80% tokens on layer 1 for security and decentralization. And as a group, we'll just go with tentatively, because I think that's something maybe we don't want to wait for that technical lead position, but kind of tentatively go with Saphir's tenant supply in the draft, or he'll come up with whatever is currently in the white paper. And while we're waiting on this technical lead position, maybe he'll just kind of do a breakdown of some type of draft front loading that we can then start doing incentives. And then let's tentatively give Bill Poster, once we get this write-up, he can post to see who's interested, and we'll tag those developers that already said they're interested, and let's see if we got someone that will want to take this. If not, then I think we just do it within our group and come up with the total supply and then an incentive aspect, and then we can go for the airdrop.
And quick note on the airdrop, just sharing that distribution list, getting that from Garrett and team.
Yes. Share distribution list with a tentative total supply. Okay. It's out, but do I remember correctly? It doesn't state how many tokens you get because there was no conclusion on the total supply. So I right. So I think then once I think having that tentative total supply so people can tangibly see, oh, I'm going to get these many tokens. I think Saphir is right. It gives them that sort of emotional attachment to want to kind of be involved. Is that kind of the goal, Saphir?
Exactly. Yeah, just going with the numbers that we have on the white paper, I think, is probably the best approach. I know there was a discussion among the community of how do we want to split it between Shimmer and IOTA holders. And I know there is still a desire to have at least a portion go to IOTA holders, even though Shimmer holders are, I guess, the ones who probably would need it the most. But in order to get exposure on both ends, whether we do a 50-50 or a 75-25 or some split, I think it would be actually a really nice vote that we can put out in the channel, even maybe later today.
Awesome. Love it. Perfect. All right. Other than that, thank you everyone for joining. Thanks to the community for taking part in the voting. That's really awesome. That really helps this sort of active group keep pushing forward. And we'll see you next week. Next meeting, June 19th. This day, this time, next week. Everyone, have a good one.
Great.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.